Salut, je m'appelle Leah.
And je m'appelle Sharon.
This week on our virtual Tour de France, we begin the first of 4 episodes set in Normandy. It's a large region, and from the 1950s until 2016 it was divided into 2 parts, Haute-Normandie and Basse-Normandie. That's upper and lower. The division was never popular with the locals. Culturally, it's one region, but we have so much to talk about, we'll keep the divisions for our tour. And even then, we'll have to leave out a lot.
So we're checking out Haute-Normandie this week. Don't worry, we'll get to the famous beaches in a later episode. We're starting our regional tour in the ancient city of Rouen, which predates the Romans. Rouen was one of the most prosperous cities in the Middle Ages, and it has well-preserved medieval architecture and magnificent cathedrals to show for it. Victor Hugo described Rouen as the city of 100 spires.
Don't all French cities have impressive cathedrals? It seems like that. Well, Rouen has other claims to fame. One of its major attractions is the Gros Horloge. That's a 14th century astronomical clock. It's one of the oldest mechanisms in France. I'd really like to see that.
This beautiful city on the River Seine is the birthplace of many famous French people, and even an English king. Joan of Arc, you've heard of her, was tried and burned at the stake here. If you go, you can visit a new museum honoring Joan. Among the most significant contributions to culture from Rouen and this part of Normandy come from art and literature. Monet's painting of the sea at Le Havre launched Impressionism, and many of the great Impressionists painted scenes in Normandy. Renoir, Gauguin, Turner, and more. One of the most famous works of world literature was set in Normandy. Gustave Flaubert was born in Rouen and lived nearly all of his life there. His debut novel, Madame Bovary, was the beginning of narrative realism in fiction, and it was set in the country around Rouen.
Sadly, neither of us have read Madame Bovary, so we settled for a couple of film versions to get the experience.
There have been numerous screen adaptations of this famous story. We first watched the 2014 version with a traditional take on it. This was an English film about a French woman.
Then we watched a French film about an English woman. A quirky movie inspired by the story. Its title character, Gemma Bovary, and her husband, Charles, are Brits who moved to Normandy. Their neighbor is the village baker and is obsessed with Flaubert's novel. He is fascinated with Gemma, but fears her life may imitate Flaubert's tragic art.
Both movies were filmed in Normandy, so they are nice for local scenery, and let's just say the local scenery is gorgeous, no surprise there.
Next week we'll show some of the food that's produced in the meadows and forests and waters of Normandy. We hope you'll join us.
In the meantime, don't forget to visit our website for links and more info, twofemmes.com.
A bientôt.
A bientôt.